the only thing that you can do if you ever have two choices is always take the one that brings you more excitement, and you'll always be exactly where you're supposed to be. So keep following whatever that spark is.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Paul Tully with the FYI Podcast. We have an extra special guest in the house tonight. We're with Allie. Allie is the owner of Canine School of Behavior. She is an entrepreneur. She is a surfer. And she is an amazing trainer of these beautiful animals, which you see sitting right next to her. This guy is awesome. So we're going to jump into Allie's story and what led her into doing this as a profession. Allie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, super excited. This is by far, I'm excited about this. I lost my baby, my dog, February 17th, and it like crushed me. I only sent her to training school at like the Petco, like when she was like 1 year old, and she learned one thing: to sit for a treat. That was it. And then the other 12 and a half years, she just ran the house. So I was watching before we started how amazing Caliber, yeah, how amazing Caliber is. His ears pumped up, and it's wild. I never seen so much control, like how.
It's interesting because like the way that most people interact with dogs is like it's almost like they don't have a real understanding of how they operate or like what's going on, and we've created our own perceptions through the way that we were raised, through our social standards, through just like the way we idealize them, of this like perceived reality that they have, right? Instead of like what are they actually capable of understanding, and how can we best communicate with that? Right. How can we interact with them on a level at which they can respond really and like really engage? And that's probably like the number one comment I get is like, wow, he's so focused on you. Like he's so interested. And it's like, well, I'm connected to him because I speak his language.
Yeah.
And I use that language to develop obedience that he can rely on, that I can rely on. Right. But it's a two-way street. Like he can count on his training. He can count on our communication, that he doesn't have to be anxious, nervous, uncertain, because I'm going to be clear with him on what I want and what I need.
Yeah.
And in that same light, I can take him into a brand new space, into a situation he's never seen before. First time, big surprise. But, and he's okay and he's fine. He can handle it. He can deal with it.
He feels safe and confident and secure with you no matter what.
Right.
That's interesting what you just said, though, the way they're perceiving things, right? Because we just get this like idea, I guess, that they think like we think, and, they're our kid, which...
But not even, because people don't even treat their dogs like their kids. Their kids have more rules and boundaries and all of that and more communication. We almost idealize them. Like I said, like we put them on this pedestal of like being above that level, above fault,
Right.
And so, and again, with that lack of clarity, we end up like frustrated with ourselves for the behaviors of our dog because we don't understand them better.
Yeah, then we get mad or we're like frustrated, but it's like we didn't teach them to not jump up there.
But it's funny because I find with most people, they're not mad at the animal because they're like, well, I know it's not the animal's fault. It's my fault.
Yeah.
And it becomes like that internal frustration of like, God, I wish they listened to me better. But anyway.
So with the training, when people come bring their pet, their animal to you, you're also working with the human.
Absolutely.
Got
Absolutely.
it. So it's not
both.
Just drop the dog. I mean, you're working with the human so they understand what they're doing and how to communicate with the...
Well, number one, I want them to have a better understanding of what a dog can perceive, the way that we can articulate to them clearly. All done. Thank you. He's like, we're going back to playtime, right?
Yeah.
No, we're all done. We're up here.
He's like, I know you guys are talking about me.
He's hamming it up right now.
He's loving the
couch situation. So we give them clarity on like how the dog can understand. Now we do a lot of that like formal conditioning because just like learning an instrument or a sport, it's all about repetition, right? If I want him to respond reflexively to my commands, I need him to do it over and over and over and over and over again so that it really is in that fast twitch muscle fiber response. Like I want reflex, right?
Right.
So the conditioning and the repetition of that, you don't necessarily have to do yourself, right? We can put those repetitions on and make them really clean and nice. But I need you to understand how it works. And then I need you to have the developed reflex to know how to maintain it
Yeah, I was just
and
gonna
utilize
say,
it.
what if they're not? Yeah, if the owner goes back home and doesn't put into practice what it like defeats it, counter isn't counterintuitive.
And I like to like help people understand that it's not like, oh, you always need a treat or you always need a leash or you don't. You need to have put enough funds into your bank account. You need to have some savings that you can spend it later.
Mm,
Like you need to have put in those repetitions if you're going to be able to use them out on the field.
right.
you
Right.
know and for most people, the hardest part is being conditioned.
Yeah.
When I have to put you through conditioning and train your muscle memory, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right.
People don't want to be programmed like that.
Right. Right.
But when they see the results, it's incredible. They can just really connect with their dogs.
It's amazing. How'd you navigate into this? How long have you been doing this as a
um
trainer?
I started working with dogs in high school. Probably before that, I always wanted to be a vet since I was a little kid.
Okay.
I studied animal behavior in college. I actually trained dogs and horses through high school and college,
Oh, wow.
which was just an amazing experience. And, ultimately, I fell into this when that path towards medicine wasn't calling to me anymore.
Hmm.
Behavior has always called to me. So
Wow. So, okay. So but you've been in love with animals your whole life.
my whole life. Yeah.
So you had pets growing up and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. My parents had my first dog before they had me, and then just all the way through, and they had me involved in horses. They had me involved in it was just I just loved being connected to animals.
Were your pets when you were young behaved professionally, or did they get the like? How was that?
It's interesting, first of all, when I was a kid, we didn't have dogs with as many behavioral issues as we have now.
Interesting.
It's changed a little bit, right?
Why is that? Just society has changed, or?
Society has changed. Yeah,
Okay.
I think our standards have changed a little bit. But I also think that our tools have adapted and we have more of a wherewithal to deal with behavioral issues than we did in the past.
Yeah.
We weren't as tolerant, we weren't as able, we weren't as understanding. And our compassion for animals has also grown significantly.
Yeah. Much better today, right?
I
I
would
think.
say I would say on that part way better. Like
Okay.
we're way better. The standards that we have changed in
Mm.
breeding, and fallen. We're a quantity over quality kind of situation now, and I think that has a little bit to do with it as well.
Got it.
But it's a mixed bag. So yeah, I mean, we had great golden retrievers, when I was a kid, and they were all we didn't. Rescuing wasn't something that they did in my neighborhood. It was like, you got your dog from the breeder out in the countryside, and
Mm.
that was how it went.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so just different. But yeah, we had lovely dogs.
No, no,
Lovely
that's
dogs.
all. You just touched on something. How big of an issue is it today with shelters and dogs that like this? Like we have a lot of animals that aren't housed and taken care of, right? Is this like a big problem?
It's a lot. Yeah,
It's a
we've just
lot.
had a big shift in Los Angeles, where they have changed at least for the time being, they have changed regulations on all dogs being breeding or being intact. Or you used to be able to pay like a breeder's fee. You can't anymore. It's changed. Just they're really trying to make it stricter and stricter because they can't stop the overproduction. And that's
Wow.
what it really is. It's not the stray dogs on the street that are the issue. It's overproduction by people.
That's what I was gonna say. So I'm ignorant to this, please. Like for some reason, it always irritates me. Like when people contact me, friends or mutuals, or hey, friends breeding these. I have these purebreds, and I'm like, what? What? Again, I'm ignorant to this. So I don't want to be for anyone who's a breeder or something. I never got it, but I'm like, there's so many dogs that are like in shelters. Why are we people buying like $3,000 purebred? What's the difference of having? To me, I don't know. A dog. I love them. They're cute. A dog is a dog.
I mean, listen, I don't want to take like
Yeah, I don't
one
want
side or
to.
the other because I
Yeah.
think that there's like a lot of a lot of reasons on both ends. Obviously, rescue is like extremely important. I'm partnered with a bunch of rescue organizations,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of really incredible dogs out there that need homes. I actually do a lot of like temperament testing for my clients who want to rescue, but they're not sure, and they're like, maybe it's their first time like rescuing instead of going to a breeder, and so I'll temperament test dogs for them to
Okay.
help them find that right match,
Okay.
which is like really beneficial. Um, and sometimes like if you're competing a dog or showing a dog or you're involved in a sport, like yeah, you're
Got it.
there are still regulations in place for that, but those are shifting as well. We're
Okay.
starting to see more mixed breeds, more rescues in competition, which is really cool.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. So I really don't know nothing. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I okay. So for like a pure breed, a lot of times it's for like competition. So is it that when you get a dog that's been bred or something, is it that? Because I didn't know if it was like, well, the life expectancy's better, they're healthier, so you don't want a mixed breed, or is it a better dog? What makes it a better to have it
Biologically
bred?
speaking,
Yeah.
genetic diversity is the highest format of like maintaining health standards, right? Because you have that a more diverse genome is going to allow you to combat more ailments and diseases and just have like a better likelihood for success,
So that's
ultimately,
with a
without getting like
purebred, not a
too.
mixed bred.
That's a mixed breed.
So a mixed breed,
Is actually healthier.
yeah. So
Genetic
okay.
diversity
So to
is
me, it's
better.
like, yeah, you want a healthier.
Because in order to maintain purebred and to have purebreds, there's inbreeding. At some
Oh
point,
man.
maybe not
Okay.
anymore, but like in order, if you were to create a new breed, you would have to inbreed to do that. So
Got it. Got it.
there's anyway,
Interesting. I'm
yeah,
gonna look. Yeah, I want to research more of that because I hear that. I have friends that are like, yeah, I'm buying this purebred, and it's 4,000. I had to drive to a different state or whatever, and I'm like, why didn't you just go to the shelter and get one of these dogs that are about to be put there? To me, I didn't understand it. I'm just
yeah.
like, why didn't you just? You could go for free
People are
and get
worried
a
about the
dog that's about to be
behavioral.
killed.
People are worried about the behavioral issues.
Got it.
What they don't realize is that you're gonna encounter behavioral issues if you're gonna encounter them
Regardless.
either way.
Okay.
And but they really do have this expectation that if I get a purebred dog, I won't have behavioral issues. Like I know that.
Okay. They
But
feel it's more superior in some way.
yeah, yeah, and
Interesting.
they're like, but I have children or I have this, and it's like, honestly, temperament testing is what is going to give you a better idea of what you're getting than bloodlines alone. Personality makes a huge difference, and I
Yeah.
tell people like, are you and your sibling exactly the same? Like in a litter of puppies, they both had the same, genetic input, but you're not getting the same individuals back out.
Right.
Like you're getting all different little personalities in there.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely look into it. So you get into doing this. When did you find it was the right now when you started getting into training, when was it that you opened your own business? Because that leads into a whole what
Ugh.
led you to opening your own.
You know what? It was an accident.
Really? Yeah,
It was
yeah.
an accident. I didn't mean to start a business.
Okay.
I ended up I ended up leaving the place where I had been working as a head trainer. I wasn't comfortable with all of their practices, and I ended up getting a couple of bad bites while I was there. One of them is this one across
Oh
my arm
yeah.
right here. Um, thank you
Oh,
for your concern.
that's
Come
a
back.
real
Thank you.
scar
That's
there. Looks
yeah,
like.
yeah. So that one wrapped like all the way around and to the
Ooh.
backside, and
Big
that
dog,
was
I'm
kind of
assuming.
yeah, not huge. It was just right. It all
Wow.
happened just right. It was a perfect storm of events, where I take my responsibility. I think that the company had responsibility. I think that a
Yeah.
few things came into play, but it was very obvious that it was my time to leave there.
Got
Um, and so, yeah, I was just doing my thing independently a little bit, and somebody asked me to start helping them, and that kind of just branched. People would see me out working those dogs, and they'd go, what are you doing? Like, can you help me with my dog or what? And it just built,
Nice.
before I knew it, I was in my 1-bedroom apartment with 7 crates stacked up in my living room. And I had a friend coming, like clocking in to help me. I was like, I think I own a business.
Yeah, you're like, I think I need a bigger, yeah.
I think you're an employee and this is a business and we have a problem, like I have to
Yeah.
start doing something.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I got a little bit bigger place, with like a yard, and I built a little kennel room there, and I did it out of that house.
Wow.
And then I finally got my first facility.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Was that exciting? I mean, stressful?
The first time I really just like, and this is kind of what set me up for my struggles down the line, right? But I've always been in this mindset of like, no, I can just do it. Like, I can just do this. I'm like, I just see it, and I think I see it. I think I see exactly how it's going to go. I have a vision. Like, I'm going to get the space, and this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. And the jump from the backyard setup to the first facility wasn't that large of a jump. I would say it was just a nice little like stepping stone up. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more than what I was doing, but it wasn't so unattainable.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I didn't notice, but it was not like some massive
The overhead
hardship.
wasn't crazy.
It wasn't crazy.
Okay.
It wasn't crazy. I found this place. I got a great deal, and it worked out. And then stuff came up.
Yeah.
Along the way. And then I learned, and I was growing, and it was hard, and there's hard months. And then COVID hit,
Ugh.
And like, that was terrifying.
Crushing everybody.
Because I had just opened that facility at the end of 2019, and by 2020 it was like shut down.
Yeah.
But I'm very lucky. I'm like very blessed that I had reservations that were like booked out. When everything shut down, people didn't want to give up their slot. They had been waiting,
Oh, wow.
And so we made it work, and we did classes outdoors, and like we just made it work, and everybody got a dog. And so there was like maybe 2 weeks where it was like very slow,
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I look at like some of the trends going back, and like it was slower than it would have been.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel unmanageable.
What was the mindset? I love that you kept grinding and hustling through it. What was your mindset? COVID hits. Was it the mindset of like, oh no, I'm going to pivot and this is going to work? Or was it complete fear and then just things happened? Like was it a mixture,
That's a good question. Because I'm not, I think I live in that mindset of like, I'm going to keep going, but I don't know that I made like this massive pivot. I was just like, wake up and here's what we'll do today, like to make this work.
Yeah.
And it was just like one day at a time. How can I keep going forward?
Yeah. I relate with that. Yeah, I think I'm the same. It's just, I just every day figure out. I don't think I have any master plans of like, so I'm going to start this podcast. Or I'm going to do things just as they come. I'm like constantly.
Yeah, I'll get stuck in
I'm
like
not
this.
scared to take risks, like you said.
No fear.
Sometimes it's crippled me. Like I've went all in on things. Like no doubt this is gonna work, and I'm like, oh, that didn't work right. But I just keep. Yeah. I think it's a mindset of just.
But that willingness to risk, and maybe that little bit of like egoic, like I don't know, almost stupidity, but like is like that willingness to just risk it all.
Yeah.
Has led to like the most fruitful lessons and learning, and like made my life so much more worthy of being in, because I really like keep giving myself a game to play.
Yeah.
I
like that. Like I had a guest on here, and we were talking about the naivety, and I think I had said something. I know they had used it as like some of the promotional thing, but so I see things after they cut and edit things, and it was like, I think I was saying like, if I hadn't went through this like terrible breakup, or if I would have known the pain was going to be what it was when I had my last breakup, I probably would have never gotten to that relationship.
Right.
But the naivety of not knowing what's coming always enhances me to take risks.
Right.
So I try not to think about the after. Like I try no plan B. I try not to think about the failure. I constantly think everything I'm going to do is going to succeed, and
Yeah.
it could be stupid, but it also, when I think that way, it prevents me from living in fear of not doing it. Because
Yeah.
if I rationalize like, "Dude, doing this, of this, the odds are you're going to lose your money, Paul. This isn't going to work. You're going to go into debt. You're going to bankrupt. You're going to, then you never do nothing." I think a lot of people do live that way, and they're very, and that's fine,
Right.
But I try not to, so I relate with you. It's like, no, it's going to work, and I'd say 8 out of 10 times it does. May not always hit the expectation I like in my mind. Like I've started multiple different businesses, and like it doesn't always hit the expectation I thought, but it rarely fails. And even
Mm,
if it fails financially, I learned something great in
exactly.
it. So
Yeah, I fully believe that like everything that's in front of me is for me,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like each step that I take, like I can't really do it wrong. It's just going to be different, and it might just
yeah,
be maybe not necessarily the lesson I thought I was signing up for, but I'm getting the lesson I needed one
yeah,
way or another,
yeah. I like that.
And I really, when I took the next step and opened the next location, um, I took a massive lesson in humility.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you have one location, you're doing great.
Great.
You're thinking, you know what? And I hear that a lot with like a chain, like people start especially before they're franchising, but
Right.
they open the second.
Right.
What's that like?
Well, and that
Okay.
was always the plan. Like, as soon as I figured out that I had something, that I had my hands on a program that was successful, that could be replicated, that I could teach not just clients and people, but I was able to like train trainers and I was able to train apprentices. And what are you
He's
doing?
locked in on me.
Hey, all done. Um,
Good boy.
he looking at you and looking at his toy. Like, are you gonna pick that up for me,
I
or
know, I
are
know.
we gonna play
I
with
want
that,
to
or what?
play. I do, Caliber. I want to play,
We'll
but
give you a
after,
shot. We'll give
after.
you a shot. Wait. Um,
Good boy.
yeah, something about the transition
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. So you knew that you always had the plan that it was gonna be
Yeah, that I was
more
going to,
locations.
yeah, I realized that I had this program together, that I had a structure that was going that could be replicated. And when I realized that, and I looked around and I looked at all of these like incredible dog trainers, like really, really, really incredible dog trainers,
Yeah.
and they're so gifted and so talented, and they just didn't have the business piece,
Mm,
or you look at these other places and they're really good at business and the training is just like
y-
subpar.
right.
And you know I may not be the world's best trainer and I may not be the world's best business owner, but I have a format and a formula of the both that I can put together where I can reach people, where I
Yeah.
can get people the information that they need that really will help them and help
Yeah.
them keep their dogs,
Yeah.
and help rescues get into homes and help like all of these pieces. Like, I have something that I can give to people. So yeah, I need to keep putting it out. I need to keep like creating it and making opportunity and making it more accessible.
Yeah.
So like I knew that expansion was a part of what I was doing. And I was at capacity. So,
Yeah.
like it became the obvious next step. Um, and I ran the numbers and I started looking and I looked at maps of where my clients were and where am I needed, and all of that, and I narrowed down, like, I need to be in this section. I need to be in this area of West LA. Like, this is going to be it
Yeah.
for me. Um and it's tough in my industry to find a space.
Yeah. I bet.
It's really tough. Finding a space, people don't there are other my industry hasn't left all the best reputation in rentals
Yeah. Yeah.
for facilities, but we have really high standards.
Yeah.
And so we're very grateful to continue to make like a good name for other dog facilities.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I jumped into a different level of market um, than where I was in my industrial corner of North Hollywood.
Right. Right.
And so everything around that became leveled up. Construction, I didn't really have to do at my first location. So, and I took on a construction project.
Mm.
Um, so that,
I would imagine codes and the
You can like
city,
see it all running through your brain. It like, oh, all the numbers. It like literally looks like like
yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
what you got, yeah, the fees that come with some of these that probably weren't expected. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, all
Yeah, it's
that
interesting where they
underlying.
get you.
Oh my,
It's
it's
interesting
crazy.
where they get you. And I'm sure every industry has their own,
Sure.
and I have friends who open multiple restaurants and they run into the same things,
Yep.
and it's like it's kind of this unavoidable piece um that I I can't say nobody tells you about it because people told me about it. People
Yeah.
said it's always going to be a little longer than you think, and I'm like, no, I've got this dialed down. It's going to be exactly this amount of time. We're gonna have this much thing. Everything's going to go perfectly. So there's no reason to account for any additional,
Yeah.
just ego. Just came into it just full. I know what I'm doing. I've always been good at this for the last 7 years, and I'm going to be great at it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that just it was really hard.
That one was
It,
wounding.
it was wounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything kept getting extended. Everything was challenging. All of the interpersonal relationships that I had created like fell apart. And, you know, I I fully believe that like I had to take those steps to be stripped down of all of the things that I thought that made me successful, that I thought that mattered to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
those those had to disappear for me to find out that none of it was what was important.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no end result of once I get there, then I can be happy.
Yeah. There's no destination to this thing,
There
right?
isn't. There
We just
isn't.
keep living, learning, enjoying,
Yeah.
take losses, you know?
And you have to have both sides. I truly
Yeah.
believe that you can't like reap the benefits and the all of the like pleasures and joys that we have in this lifetime if you don't experience hardship.
Absolutely.
If you don't go through challenges, if you don't like and if
Yeah.
you don't come to those innately, like I do think you have to find and create them and keep driving forward to
Yeah.
to get that polarity.
Yeah, right. It's like you never know you're high till you're feeling low.
Yeah.
You know, like
They say that. I've heard that
yeah,
one before.
and I there's like lyrics to like a Passenger song, "Let Her Go," and I always love the lyrics where it's like, you know, you never hate the road till you're missing home. It's like traveling's great until it's what you have to do.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, it's just the appreciation of you got to go through the hardships that I was talking yesterday to somebody about this, and we were saying, like, I was talking about the fitness journey that I'm on, and I was like, but what we were saying is like, oh, that's what it was. It was the podcast. I did a podcast yesterday with a gentleman, entrepreneur, but in the medical field. But
Hmm.
long story short, we were just talking about like anything because we were talking about surgeries. And some people choose to do weight loss surgeries. I have chose not to. With my dog, I want to do this. And to each their own.
Yeah.
But for me, it feels like, no, I have to conquer the demons that keep that the reason I'm overweight, the binge eating, the late night, the emotional trauma. Why
Hmm.
am I eating and doing this to myself? The self-sabotage. But all of that is appreciated when you conquer it. It feels like nothing else. Not that there's anything wrong. If somebody wants to go get a surgery and lose the weight, and
Yeah.
if they're going to feel better about it. But I've also seen a lot of people in my life that have done that and gain it right back. They're still miserable and maybe even more miserable. And I'm like, but I've seen some be successful too. So for me, it's like let's just always run through the storm. Let's just face, learn from our flaws, hit bottom sometimes, come on back up. Like you're saying, you learned.
Well, and I think that some people like they think, well, I've been through this and I've been through this and I've been through this. Like, where is the other side for me? And it's like, but did you go through it and did you self-reflect? Like, did you take your own inventory?
Right.
Did you actually spend the time to see the way that you behaved in each given situation and what the results of that looked like?
Yeah.
And if you didn't take the time for like that self-reflection and that self-awareness, then it's not constructive. Then
That's
you get
right.
to keep relearning the same lesson over and over again. You're going to
Insanity.
keep having insanity,
Insanity.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that's a really important part of it. And I think a part of like the way that you're describing this journey as well of like, if you're not looking at the pieces of where your health has fallen off in the past, then like, how can you
Fix
keep
it.
it from getting back there again?
Correct.
You know?
And it's that. Yeah, exactly. Let's stop that cycle of insanity and
Yeah.
No, that's great. I wanted to say, I feel like, so talking to you, being here with you, I'd imagine, at least it feels that way, you're not doing this for money.
No.
Money's great, and if you have 10 successful business, you really genuinely love putting good in the world and
Correct.
working through these. I could tell. How does that feel when somebody brings their pet who they love dearly and it's family to them, and you help get that animal to a place of the obedience, and how does that feel like to do such a good job, and you see that family so bonded now with their
Yeah,
pet?
it's everything. It's everything to have made an effect on anybody's life, you know? And I think that the really challenging cases where people are really fed up and they're really done, and it doesn't have to be the most challenging dog. It's like, where are you emotionally? Like, where are you feeling so lost in your connection with your animal that it's actually impacting your life in a negative way, that you're harboring these resentments that you maybe haven't even realized? And where can we alleviate that so that you can have more connection, more joy, and like, and benefit from these relationships? Because it it should be symbiotic.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
should be giving and receiving in this dynamic with them. um yeah, and I love creating it. And there's something that happens, so here we go, ready, it gets a little woo woo,
It's
but
all right.
like, there's there's something that happens to us that changes us when we truly connect with animals,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and there's some piece of us when we tap into them and we can feel that really, really genuine, safe, secure connection, because it's hard to make that in people. Sometimes we don't want to
Yeah.
trust people that way, but we can feel the purity in an animal. And if we can connect to that, there is something, I don't know, divine about it.
Absolutely.
And so to share that with other people and help them to create those connections and pass that along. And they go out in the street and they're like, gosh, you and your animal, like, it's just so, people comment on them.
Yeah.
Like, and I love watching that. I love working with my clients out in public too,
Yeah.
to see how people, like, I'll just sit on the side. And I did this the other day. A client who was working with their service dog, and I just sat on the side and just watched as people just as they go past, like, what was that? And the two of them were just bonded and connected and working together.
That's awesome.
It's
Okay,
beautiful.
for people, no, I that's it. Really is making me emotional. Just I'm thinking about my Lady Liberty, but okay, affordability for people who are
Mm.
watching and are like, man, like, you know, that's a big thing. I'm assuming how expensive is this process? Not like on the number, but for getting a dog to be trained and
You know, I think that when you are dealing with this, like what we do, especially in like real behavioral issues, like we're getting it done as quickly as possible. And it can look like it's expensive up front, but realistically, the number of hours of training a day that we're putting into your dog, that we're putting into you, and the rate at which we're getting you results, you would pay that much over a year to
yeah,
go and do it in like once a week in a class. And the frustration wouldn't be alleviated, the lifestyle wouldn't change immediately. It would feel, it would just be so much harder and so much longer, and again, you pay the same amount over
yeah,
time. So yeah, it can look expensive to do like a 10-day program. um, but again, in 10 days we're doing 40 hours of training with your dog.
yeah.
So
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 you're
40
saving
weeks, if you
yourself.
went once a week for 40 weeks,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. This
yeah,
long. Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
long time. You're saving time, you're saving money, you're like, and you're actually getting results.
That's a great and actually I didn't expect that kind of answer. That's actually that's a great and it's the truth, but it's also a great um, pitch because it's like okay, well we're doing in 40 hour. Like why would you want to wait aside from if you? But yeah, you get it done. Your
And
dog's obedient. It's
the
all
the truth is, probably in our 40 hours condensed like that, we can make a lot more progress, because we're not, like, you go to your class, you go for an hour, right? You work on something, you're not really doing it right. You go
yeah,
home for the whole week and you practice it wrong,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
go back the next week and then the trainer goes, okay, here's how we're actually gonna, and
Yeah.
it's like you just enforced the wrong thing. And with dogs, again, we're talking about creating reflex. We're talking about creating a fast twitch muscle fiber response. Like, we just need to program it in. Once it's programmed, you can use it and reinforce it properly, and it'll continue to work.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Um, have you had any experience what like that you could think of offhand? Like, what was your greatest transformation? Like, specifically of a certain pet that came in with like I don't know, maybe really bad behavior issues that ended up. Is there anything that
I
comes to
mean,
mind?
we do it all the time,
Yeah.
every day. And I would say, like, what sticks in my head most often, again, like the way that the client responds, not necessarily that like their
Mm.
dog came in and was so like horrible, but whatever one thing that they were doing was just driving them so crazy
Yeah.
that they're so relieved. They're so much happier walking down the street. You know, I think I take it for granted that any dog that walks in to work with us walks back out not pulling on leash.
Mm.
Nobody's gonna pull coming out of my building. Like, no, that's never. People are like, well, I just the leash walkings. I'm like, that's like the minimum I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, for sure your dog is not gonna pull on leash,
Right.
and
Right.
after even just 10 days in our program, like, it's just not that. And so I think we take some of those things for granted
Yeah, like
as
the
trainers.
basic
Like,
for
the
you.
basic is like just, and it really does. It makes a difference when you get out on a walk every day. You go for that walk, and every day your dog pulled you,
Especially the big dog, right? My
especially a
fr-
big dog.
my friend and his wife have this beautiful pit bull. She's tiny. My friend's wife, she can't walk him. It's like
And
it's
it's so
it's
simple to
almost
fix.
scary. Like
And
I'm
it's
like, what
so
if he
easy.
takes off on? Like she literally. One
Yeah.
time he attacked a possum or something. They were telling me, and she couldn't. And I'm like, they need to come get
Yeah,
trained
yeah, we
because
gotta give him a
she
number.
can't even control the dog. And I'm like, what if it goes after someone? But yeah, you're right. Like that's a major thing.
And
I had a little dog,
they're
so
not usually like terribly like going after somebody. They're like eating something off the ground, or like
smelling some.
like yeah,
Yeah,
like they ate something and then they are sick later because they ate a bunch of stuff their whole walk. And it's like, it's just like little things that you get tired of and you don't even realize that they could just not be there. But we did have this little dog once years ago. He came in and he just, his entire assessment, he shook underneath a chair.
oh,
And he was from one of the organizations that I had partnered with, which is Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation. We were partnered with them at the time, and he was imported from a meat market. It was like a few years ago, and there was a lot of companies were just starting to or not companies, foundations were just starting to import dogs, and pull them out of those meat trades and things like that.
wait, what do you mean meat trade? I'm not.
Oh,
Wait, they're not eating the dog.
yes, yes,
Stop.
yes. In there's many countries
In the
where
oh,
they
in
eat.
other
In other
countries.
countries, they eat dog meat. There's dog meat markets.
Oh wow.
And so I used to work really closely with an organization that was kind of like pioneering it,
Wow.
like pulling dogs out. Um, and so this was one of the dogs from that. We would go into their facility every week also and just work with as many of the dogs as we could to try to
Oh.
like help rehabilitate them and get them prepped for homes. And this little guy just shook all the time, and he just wasn't making progress at home. They couldn't get him out of the house. They couldn't. Um, and it's been 5 or 6 years, and this dog still comes to us once a week to hang out with us at
Nice.
daycare. And he's just like, you would never know. You would never know that it was the same dog that was cowering in the corner. He walks in the door, so proud of himself. Um, and yeah, all these years later, it's like, well, yeah, it's been so many years. Of course, he's made the transformation. But back then, we just did 10 days, and his whole life changed.
Wow.
And so it really was like, especially because it was when the business was still a little bit younger, and it was like, wow, we really have this opportunity to help these dogs that have been through something really traumatic.
Yeah. Thank you for just doing that and putting that in the world and that's what we need more of. And
It's fun to
it's
share. It's fun to pass it on, like, to people, and to show them what's possible and what the dogs are capable of. And like I said, like, having those connections and creating them and being engaged with animals in that way, it's healing.
yeah.
It's healing to the soul.
I like that and I hope you never forget how important you are and what you're doing is. Don't lose that. I think that you know, yeah, I'm an artist. I mean, I got into acting and all that stuff, and in the beginning, it was like, I wanted to inspire a little bit, and then the business starts to beat you up, and you don't find the successes you were hoping, and
Yeah.
and then it's like sometimes I have to bring myself full circle back. Yeah, I also served our country and did all these things that were for me because I always want to be of service, but sometimes you forget that and you could get jaded, and the world starts to pound on you and bills and this, and then you got to figure, and that's all that could be true at once. You still got to like make money and make a business, but don't forget the amazing things and why you're doing it, which I know you don't, but
No,
I'm
I
just want to
mean,
today remind you
no, I
that,
appreciate that.
yeah,
I
that it,
couldn't need that more, honestly,
yeah,
because it does pile up and you
it
do get
piles up.
stuck in the lists and like that never ending grind. And like, I ask myself, why am I doing this? Like, why did I take on this next piece? Like, why wasn't I just satisfied with where I was at, but it's true. Like the root of it all is to reach more people, help more dogs, create more education, and like there's nothing I'm not and I'm taking way less than what I'm giving, and that's the goal though. Like I think that somebody once told me that like if everybody at the table feels like they've gotten the most, that's when God is present.
Mm,
But I never want to be looking at what I'm getting. I always want to be looking at what I'm giving to the
giving,
table.
yeah, I like that. Man, I like it. Okay, before we go out though, I want to talk for a minute surfing.
Oh
Surfing,
man,
this
how I
is
ended up here.
yeah, yeah.
That's how I
So
ended up
that's
sitting
how
here.
right. You're surfing with one of the producers, and
Yeah.
the producer's like, "Hey, we got this podcast."
Yeah.
So how long have you been surfing?
Like 14 weeks.
Wow. So you really know. Hey, more than me. I've never surfed. What?
We're gonna change that, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna go out and document me trying to go surfboard.
Can't
I'm
wait.
down. What's it been like? What? I mean, has what about it has intrigued you to keep going?
You talk about like the connection that you get from an animal, right? And like that soul cleansing, the
Yeah.
ocean, same. Same, like just immediately you feel the power of something far greater than yourself.
Wow.
Far greater than you could ever comprehend, far greater than we understand.
Yeah.
And if you think you understand, you go get in that ocean today and you tell me, "Hey, he's like not a fan of the ocean." He's like, "I don't understand it and I don't like it." Yeah, if you get in that water today and you tell me that you have some kind of control or power over what it does to you, like that's
You learn quickly.
you learn quickly. You are humbled by it
Yeah.
intensely. And I mentioned like this was a huge year of humility for me. Like that I just took a big old slice of humble pie and continued to serve it to myself over and over again.
Yeah.
And this was,
I
sir,
know, buddy.
all done. Thank you.
He's like,
You're gonna be all done in a second.
he's been locked in on me. We got
What?
60 more seconds, I promise.
All right.
No, take your time with it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, you got to serve some humble pie, the ocean.
the ocean, it is that,
Yeah.
and like taking that little bit of time for myself, especially with the intensity and the grind and everything. And it's like, you're out there and there's nothing.
Yeah.
And at first I was out there and I was nothing. And for 2 weeks, I didn't speak to a single person. I went every single day and it was just a full on meditation for me. And then I started connecting with people out there little by little. I started making connections, making friends, getting to know people, got a coach, really got involved. And I found that to be extremely, extremely meaningful because you make these connections in the water. And like, for a lot of them, I was like, I'll probably never see these people again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny. I actually I was like, how do you get to know people in the water? I made waterproof business cards.
Oh.
So I was like, what am I gonna, if I want to connect with somebody, what do I do?
That's
you don't have a
awesome.
pen and paper, you don't have a phone.
Yeah.
So waterproof business cards, that one's for you.
Oh, thank you.
Because that's how I got here.
I love this.
Was just, being able to say, here, reach out, like, contact me, put it on your wrist, and
Super
you surf
cool.
with it.
Yeah, and that is how it happened. You met one of the producers. He came to us. He was like, "Man, I met this super awesome person," and we were like, "Oh, what a cool story she had." So I'm glad that you guys met, and I'm glad to meet you.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Great conversation. I hope many more to come, and
Yeah.
just to stay in touch and watch your journey unfold. It's great, or continue. And again, thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
But before I let you go, now's the hot seat. Every episode, at the end, I ask a guest to look into their camera. And for somebody watching, maybe they're at home, maybe they're like, man, I like this story. Like, I'd like to get into that. Maybe a younger version, kid that's in love with animals that might want to do this one day. What advice do you have for that?
I would say that the only thing that you can do if you ever have two choices is always take the one that brings you more excitement, the one that brings you slightly more joy, the one that looks just a little bit brighter to you. And you'll always be exactly where you're supposed to be. So keep following whatever that spark is.
I love it. Allie, thank you so much. This has really been good. I'm going to close this out for a minute. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this session. A couple of the gems I took, because there were so many. This is truly a great conversation. Talking to Allie, I could see pretty much immediately. I did not know Allie. We got to know each other on camera right here, but I could tell immediately how connected she was to what her occupation is. It's not a job. She truly loves animals. She's loved them since she was a kid. She always knew she wanted to work with animals. What was interesting is her first ideas were she was going to become a veterinarian. She was going to pursue the medical side of this. And in realizing, this isn't really the way I want to go, maybe through the schooling, whatever, she stayed on course. The reason I'm touching on that is when I first got into acting, I was so in love with acting, and that's what I wanted to do. And in doing that, I also found writing, which led me to write my first feature film that ended up, I directed, and now it's out there for the world. So sometimes we pivot, but I'm still in that same field of creating. And she found a true passion in what she's really great at, and in training these dogs and these animals, how she's affected not only the life of that dog, which is huge, like the dog that shaked all the time, but the owners. It's a communal thing, and she's a part of their lives forever. Wherever they go, when people compliment that animal, they're telling them. Allie plays a part in that, and why that bond is so good with that owner and animal for the rest of their journey together. So that's important. She also talked about taking risk, which I loved. It's like, I say that all the time. Like, sometimes we just need to be naive, or as she said, is it a little stupidity in it? Not always seeing the bad side of what might happen. Sometimes that prevents us from trying. Sometimes you just jump off that diving board. If you have a vision, if you have a dream, if you have a passion, go for it. Don't overthink it. Just push towards it. In any aspect of your life. As long as, we're talking about positive stuff. But, you want to lose weight, you're not feeling good, just go. Go now. Stop overthinking everything. Go take chances. Learn through the failure and know that failure is okay. We fail. We make mistakes. Without failure, we can't win. So, I took a lot from it. I hope you took some stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.